Good morning, fellow Hoops fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Last Shot NBA show right here on Little Birdie TV. As always, brought to you by our great mates over there at topsport.com. You know, it's been a big weekend of basketball since we last saw you guys on Friday morning. There's a lot to talk about. We've got our heavy hitters joining us today. Andrew Parkinson will be on a little bit later. We're going to bring on Benyam Kidane in just a second. But before we do, I want to make an announcement. I'm officially a New Orleans Pelicans fan for this season. I'm becoming a lifelong member of the Pelicans army as of today because they have been absolutely phenomenal. Zion Williamson is looking great. I'm all aboard the Pelicans train. We are going to talk about the Pelicans a little bit later on, but first we're going to welcome old mate Benyam Kidane. BK, my brother, how you doing?
Is there room for one more? Because it might be time for me to get off Westbrook Island.
Yeah, jump aboard, BK. Jump aboard. This is the time to get on, mate. This is like we're getting on a ground zero right now.
One ticket, please.
That's it. We're going to talk about the Pelicans a little bit later, BK, but let's jump straight into it. We're going to start off with the Golden State Warriors. More specifically, we're going to start off with Klay Thompson, who has been getting a little bit of criticism from Charles Barkley this season on Inside the NBA on TNT and, about his play and the level of player that he is since coming back from injury. And he actually sounded off about that after the win against the Miami Heat the other day. We're going to take a listen to what he said right now.
I got one thing to say. It hurts when, someone like Charles Barkley with the platform he has says you're not the same player prior to the injuries you have. It's like, no duh, man. Consecutive years, I tore my ACL, my Achilles in consecutive years and still help a team win a championship. I mean, it hurt hearing that because it's like, man, I put in so much freaking effort to get back to this point. Like, it's hard to even put into words what I had to do to be the player I am today. And it's like, I played 57 games in 3 years. Like, give me some freaking time to get that back and just hear someone say, oh, he's not the same as he was prior to the injuries. Like, duh. Like, who goes through something like that and comes back? I don't know. It just hurt my heart hearing that. But you know what? I'm going to internalize it, and it's going to be fuel for me to be even better. And I think I'm very proud of what we accomplished last year, and I feel like I was a huge part of it. So I'm not going to let these injuries be a crutch for me. I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to have a great year. I bet on that.
BK, it kind of puts things into perspective there a little bit with Klay's comments. I mean, the stuff that Barkley's been saying is kind of stuff that I've been saying. I think you may have touched on it a little bit as well, that, look, he's not the same player he was, since he's come back from injury. And, look, there's a couple of sort of ways to look at it. It's one, he's still, he only played 32 games last season, right, which is the lowest in his career. He averaged 20 points on 42% shooting. So far this season, he's averaging 12.6 points on 34% shooting. He's playing 23 minutes per game. Last year, he played about 29. Steve Kerr has said, look, we still want to ease this guy back because that's two major injuries that he's been coming back from, a torn ACL and obviously the Achilles injury. At his age as well, I think he's like 32. Like, that's a lot to come back from. But to hear Klay be so open about how much that sort of hurts him, I guess, or affects him, that people are saying these things about him, has really been eye-opening. What was your takeaway from it?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, especially when guys come back from injuries, like, it's crazy. We just expect them, hey, you're just the same player you were before you left. Like, two back-to-back major injuries like that, and especially at Klay's age, he's not the same player he was 5 years ago, and nor should he be. This is the time where we see players, once they get north of 30, they start to kind of tweak the way that they play the game. And we're already seeing that. There's a reason the Warriors gave Jordan Poole $140 million. There's a reason they extended Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins now is the main guy defensively to take up, the best wing player. That used to be Klay's job. He used to do it on both ends. So he's already in a different situation as a different player. And look, he wasn't at his best last season when they won the title, but there were still moments where you were like, Klay Thompson can get hot for a little bit and get you out of trouble. And we did see that. But, you know, he didn't play barely any of the preseason that the Warriors had. He hasn't really been, you know, doing the back-to-back. So it's going to take time for him to kind of warm up a little bit this season. But it was interesting just kind of hearing it from Klay's perspective because, you know, he did the work. He went through it. He went through the heartbreak. And it's totally, I guess, understandable from Klay's perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we spoke about this last season as well. Like you'd pretty much take 75% Klay over a hell of a lot more players in the NBA. And to your point, BK, I think, you know, once they sort of, like I said, Steve Kerr wants to sort of manage his minutes and sort of, you know, give him time to sort of really come back at his own pace now. And that is a luxury that the Warriors do have right now, that they can allow him to do that because of those players that you mentioned, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, guys like that taking up the slack. If they can get Klay Thompson back into, you know, as close to 100% as he can be right now, heading into the playoffs, and like you said, if he can do it in those little spurts when they need him to, they're still going to be dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. If Klay Thompson's just a spot-up shooter on your team, your team's doing okay.
Yeah, like there's a lot of teams in the NBA that would love to have that luxury. The Warriors do have it right now. I'm rooting for Klay, man. Like I love Klay, and obviously we'd love to see him get as close to the guy that he used to be prior to the injuries right now. All right, BK, moving on. We're going to talk about the island that you're still clinging to, but you may be letting go of right now, and that's the Russell Westbrook Island and the Los Angeles Lakers, BK. It hasn't been a good start for the Lakers, to say the least. Russell Westbrook has copped a lot of criticism. He came off the bench the other day in the game against the Timberwolves. He was the sixth man. He had a pretty good game. 18 points, 6 of 17 shooting, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 turnovers as well in 33 minutes. Lakers coach Darvin Ham and LeBron James both praised Westbrook's performance. Darvin Ham said, "My hat's off to him once again. He came off the bench and showed the type of impact he can have in that reserve role and shoring up our bench, not just coming in and trying to maintain anything, but coming in and taking it up a notch." Now, BK, I've been saying this from the beginning of the season. I think that sixth-man role really suits Russell Westbrook right now at this point of his career because he can come in. He's going to be that sort of spark plug off the bench. He doesn't have to play heavy minutes with LeBron and AD. Therefore, he can come in and sort of, he doesn't have to defer to them. He can come in, play more of his natural game with that second unit. What do you think, BK? Do you think he's more suited to a sixth-man role at this point or not?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the big number for me there was the minutes, 33 minutes. That's the most he's played in any game this season. And like you said, coming up against second unit guys, there is just going to be that advantage for Russell Westbrook to go out there and cook because he doesn't have to make space for LeBron James. He doesn't have to accommodate Anthony Davis. Like you can be pretty satisfied if Russ just has the rock and he's coming up against bench players. Now, is that the best for them long-term moving forward? I mean, probably. And look, a lot of that comes down to the fact that they just don't have the spacing and the shooting within that starting group. And to be honest, at this stage of Russell Westbrook's career, you know, maybe if he's on another team and he does have the ball in his hands and he can be the triple-double guy, I think he still has the talent to do that. But that's just not what this Lakers team needs. You know, they need that sort of even distribution of production because the depth just isn't there for them this season. The championship team, when you look back at that roster, that were running, 10, 11 deep on that squad. And that's just not the case with this team. It is very much wrapped up in that big three. So as much as you can kind of spread that out, I think the better for the Lakers. But, it's whether that's a feasible long-term arrangement for both parties. That's another question.
Well, Woj is reporting, as of yesterday, I saw a tweet that he's saying that the Lakers do plan to bring Russell Westbrook off the bench for the foreseeable future. It is definitely one to keep an eye on because, like we said, he was pretty hard to trade because of that $44 million contract that he does have. But maybe as we get closer to the trade deadline, technically he was still an expiring deal over the summer. But, as you get closer to the trade deadline, if a team wants to make a move, to clear some cap space moving forward, he might be someone that they would be looking to acquire.
Yeah, I mean, that's a name that's definitely going to come up in discussions, seemingly for the entire season. But shout out to Russell Westbrook for accepting that role too. Like, it wasn't like this big fuss that I think maybe a lot of people expected. Like the quotes from him but before and after the game were very much focused around the team and doing what was best for the team. So, shout out to Russ. I want to see if it can work, because the Lakers have to try anything at this point, because we're under 10 games into the season, and it already feels like this year's spiraling out of control already.
I can't help but laugh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh. All right, that's enough Lakers talk for today, BK. Let's move on to our beloved New Orleans Pelicans, BK, because like I said, I am all aboard these Pelicans train. They're fun to watch. They're an exciting core. I said prior to the season that if they were healthy, they were going to be a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. They had a good win against the LA Clippers this morning, moving to 4-2 on the season. Now, BK, for me, I think I've gotten to the stage now where if they're healthy, they're not just a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. I think they're a dark horse for the NBA championship.
NBA championship? Okay. I was going to say Western Conference Finals, but hey,
I'm all in.
Why can't they win?
No, I'm putting all my chips into the middle of the table right now. I'm all in on the Pelicans.
He's seen them for 2 weeks. He's got them winning the chip. I love it. But to be honest, like when you look around the Western Conference, the Warriors are going to be good. The Mavericks are going to be, good-ish with Luka Doncic. The Denver Nuggets are going to be good, but there's a lot of teams with question marks around them. Are Phoenix going to be the same team? Are the Clippers, going to be healthy? Like there's a window where the Pelicans keep everyone out on the floor, and they're really, really good, because I really like this team. I like the depth on the team. I like the young guys that have coming off the bench: Alvarado, Dyson Daniels, and Larry Nance as well. He's been awesome since he's been in New Orleans, but really, this starts and ends with Zion Williamson, who we saw today. He's back.
Yeah, look, I was impressed actually in the game against Phoenix the other day. I was watching that. Now, look, they ended up losing the game, but they made that so competitive, and they had obviously Brandon Ingram missing, Zion Williamson missing, Herb Jones didn't play in that game at all, and I just thought that was a good performance from the Pelicans to sort of keep up with like you mentioned, a Western Conference contender in the Phoenix Suns right there. Another shout out to Jonas Valanciunas, who I think has been balling this season. He's averaging, I think, 16 points, 11.5 rebounds. He's a guy that can sort of make teams pay when they sort of focus too much on Ingram and Zion Williamson. He can play in the paint. He can play a little bit outside. I think he's been really key for them this season.
Yeah, is that the most everyone's happy trade, the Steven Adams Valanciunas trade? Because that has just worked out perfectly for both guys and both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jonas Valanciunas makes the Pelicans big 3 a big 3+1. I'm not prepared to make it a big 4, but it's definitely a big 3+1.
We'll give him a 3.5.
3.5. Well, I'm all in, BK. I'm going Pelicans as a dark horse for the NBA championship. You're saying Western Conference Finals.
Hey, shout out to Willie Green. That team plays hard every night.
Yeah, they're playing so hard, they've made me say New York Knicks who?
Hey, and to get me to consider even moving from Westbrook Island in the hole I've dug myself in, that says a lot.
I love it. All right, BK, we're going to let you go. We'll catch you again on Friday morning. Enjoy the week of hoops, my friend.
I appreciate you, brother.
All right, time to bring on our resident betting expert, the 2-time NBL champion, Magic Man himself, Andrew Parkinson. Parky, good morning.
Good morning, Nick. And what a great day it is today. Your Pelicans just knocked off the Clippers. And I think that's going to affect the NBA championship odds. And I think we'll probably on Wednesday we'll do a bit of a deep dive on the Clippers.
Yeah, it's actually very thoroughly deserving, I think, because the Clippers, they were $6.50, I believe, Parky, at the start of the season. They're 2-4 to start the season. It's still very early days, but we definitely have a lot to talk about with the Clippers. And like you said, we'll get around to them on Wednesday. We're going to take a look at some games today. We're going to start off.
Hang on, mate. You don't want to go over our tips?
Yes, actually, we do. Please do. Please do. Please do.
We have to be accountable, Nick, on this show. We've got to be accountable. We have a betting segment in this show, so we've got to. And talking about those Clippers, where you took them the other day on Friday, -6.5 against the Thunder. And I think you were touting the Clippers by 11. They ended up losing by 8 and not covering the spread. So that was a tough one. We both had the Mavs and the Grizzlies to cover small spreads, and they came through for us. I've got to stick up for you here. You were very unlucky in that Mavs-Nets game. I know it was all the way back on Friday, but you had the under 225.5, and at the end of regulation, it was 224. But because it was tied, they have to play an extra 5 minutes. Yep. And of course, it went way over. So you went 2-4 with your picks on Friday. It should have been 3-3. So I'm giving you a little bit of a qualifier there because that was what we call a bad beat.
Yeah.
Okay? You actually picked the under in regulation. But of course, they have to count the overtime. So, so you went 2-4 to bring your season tally to 10-12. So you're just a little bit under 500, Nick. So I need you to pick up your game a little bit there.
All right, I'm going to go 4-4 today. So
good man. Well, I was 2-2. I didn't exactly set the world on fire, but my current record's 10-6. So, you're picking a lot more games. So maybe you got to streamline a little bit, buddy.
Maybe all right. Well, we'll take a look at today's games and we'll see how I'm feeling. We'll see what the vibes are like off today's games. We've got 4 to take a look at. We're going to start off with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the San Antonio Spurs. Timberwolves heading into this one, favorites at $1.39. San Antonio Spurs, $3.20. The line's at 6. That's a pretty high total there, Parky. 238.5. This one's live on NBA League Pass. What are you seeing from this game?
The same thing you are. That total is just bouncing out at me there. And doing a bit of research on this, the Timberwolves, 6 of their last 8 games have gone under. And interestingly, these two teams have actually played twice already. And one of those games totaled 256 and the other one was 221. So I'm going to think somewhere in the middle here. So I like that big number. So I like that under 238.5. And the money has been coming for it because initially it was about 235 and it's been basically bet all the way up to 238.5. So now, even though the money's going for the over, I think that's just a little too high.
Okay, are you picking a winner in that one there, Parky? Or
No, I'm going to stay away.
Okay.
I'm going to stay away from that. That 6-point spread, I think, is probably about right. But no, I'm liking the under a bit better.
Okay, I'm going to stay away from the spread. I'm taking the under, and I think the Minnesota Timberwolves win today.
Okay, oh wow, okay.
Yep.
Oh well, do you think they're going to cover the 6 points? So that's the.
I'll stay away from that. I'm not. I don't.
Well, you're
know.
only getting $1.44 there for the win. So you got to. Instead of sitting on the fence, mate, it's either the spread or nothing.
All right, that covered the spread then.
Okay, there we go. I got it out of you. I got it out of you.
All right, next game we're going to take a look at is the Orlando Magic and the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks $1.25, Orlando Magic $4.10. The line's at -9, totals 212 even. Live on NBA League Pass. Parky, thoughts on this one?
Well, initially, I was looking at the total in this one as well. But I think that's been bet all the way down. So, these teams are definitely sort of under teams. So I really think, I was going to bet it, but it was 217. Now it's down to 212. So that's dropped too much. I actually like the Magic getting 9 points. I think, I think that's achievable for this team to get within 9 points of the Mavs.
I think the Mavericks actually win this by at least 9. I think I'm going to go from 9 to 11 range. I think the Mavericks win this one by. I'm going to stay away from that total, though.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, to 212. It was 217, but as I said, it's gone all the way down to 212, and I think that's just a bit too low for me.
Yeah, logic tells me that they will score more than that. So we'll see how that one plays out. Next game, we're going to move on to Parky. We've got the Houston Rockets and the Phoenix Suns. Actually, we'll start off with this one here.
Oh, that one's a bit earlier. Yeah, that one's already, that's just about to kick off, I think.
Yeah, there
we go.
We'll start off with the Nuggets and the Lakers here. We've got the Nuggets at $1.61, the Lakers $2.29, the line's at 3.5, the total's at 229, live on NBA League Pass. Parky, do the Lakers get off the board and get their first win today?
Well, they actually may. I think they actually could. They're going to win sooner or later. Okay, they're not going to go. They're not going to go 0-82. Okay, I know they're 0-5 at the moment, but but I'm going to stay away from the spread here again. It's because I really, my head's telling me the Nuggets will cover that small spread of 3.5, but it is at the Lakers. But what I do like is the under the 229. The Lakers, the last 4 games have gone under the total, and just the eye test. The Lakers' defense is actually not too bad. As much as they're 0-5, I think, as we know, lacking shooters, lacking scoring. I think their defense will keep this game, under that. That's a fairly big total, 229.
It is, Parky. I'm with you. The Lakers are going to win at some point. I just don't think that point is today, despite being at home. I think Denver's too good. Denver to win. I'll stay away from the total on this one here. But I think Denver wins it by... I think it'll be close today, actually. I'm going to go in that 7 to 10 point range.
Yeah. No, that's good. Well, that means you think they're obviously going to, they'll cover that spread.
Yeah.
So, no, that's not a bad pick. I kind of agree with that one myself.
All right, last game we're going to take a look at is the Houston Rockets and the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns going into this one, big favorites here, $1.11. Houston Rockets, $6.75. The line's at minus 12.5. Total is at 227.5. This one, again, live on NBA League Pass. Parky, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I like the Rockets plus 12.5. In this one. They haven't sort of, besides, I think, the Bucks game, the Rockets lost by at least 20 in that one. But besides that, they've been in most games. Look, they're not going to win this one, but I think they can get within that sort of double digit or that 12.5 range. Money has been coming for the Suns. That spread was initially started around 11.5, and it's blown out to 12.5. But I think, I think I'm going to take a little bit of a risk on this one, but take the Rockets plus the 12.5.
I'm going to take the under on this one, and I'm going Phoenix by 12.
Okay, so by 12.
Yeah.
Well, the spread's 12.5. So does that mean you like the Rockets plus 12.5?
Do you want me to bump it up one and say Phoenix by 13?
There you go. Do that.
Okay.
So we're
done. Phoenix by 13.
There we go.
All right, we're definitely going to have to see how that one plays out, and obviously on Wednesday we'll get stuck into those championship odds as well, and see how the Clippers' slow start to the season has affected the odds. All right, Parky, we'll catch you again on Monday morning. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I look forward to that too. We might even touch on the Pelicans, your Pelicans, because I think their championship odds are definitely going to be firming.
I'm going to come in here on Wednesday wearing a Pelicans jersey.
Yeah. Well, if you think they're going to be, they've got a championship chance, I think the odds will be reflecting that on Wednesday.
Absolutely. We'll get stuck into that on Wednesday. All right, guys, this has been another episode of the Last Shot NBA show right here on Little Birdie TV, brought to you by our good friends at topsport.com.au. We'll see you guys Wednesday morning.